It's easy for publishers to take a look at 20th century history and create game adaptations by ordering developers to simply squirt out another generic FPS game. The stalemate and trench warfare of World War I do not lend themselves to compelling game design, however, and as such has largely gone untouched. Ubisoft has stepped up and put together a creative game that not only recreates the events of mankind's First World War, but has managed to do so with a bit of personality and even a touch of levity. The end result takes a bit of the side-scrolling, a dash of puzzle solving, and a tablespoon of history and turns them into one of the most compelling games of the year. Diverging from the action and focusing on the narrative and history of the First World War, Valiant Hearts follows the lives of Karl, Anna, Emil, and Freddy. Karl, a German immigrant living in France with his wife and child, is deported in anticipation of the war. Emil, Karl's father-in-law, who is drafted into the French army. Anna, a Belgian veterinarian student in search of her scientist father. Freddy, the volunteer American out to extract revenge on those responsible for the death of his loved one. And lastly, Walt, a Doberman Pinscher canine companion who plays a key role in the lives of his human counterparts. Despite its cartoonish visuals, Valiant Hearts doesn't shy away from the cruel reality of war and puts you in the shoes of those affected by it. Whatever the reason, the harsh truth is that war changes lives, and the fight for survival is not only for oneself, but friends, family, and country. It isn't always a dark experience. Its visual charm and humor often gives it a soft-hearted touch, reminding you that even in war we can empathize with our foes in the darkest hours. The lives of our heroes repeatedly intertwine along the journey. Whether it's to support a fellow soldier in battle, to aiding in an escape, the journey is repeatedly done alongside a partner, developing them not only as individuals, but as a group, each with their own goal, but with a shared link. With each new chapter, Valiant Hearts lectures the audience by giving the player a bit of history via pictures and artifacts. They not only give insight on the history, but inform the player of the roles and purposes of items found, and the evolution of the war tactics. As a side-scrolling adventure game, Valiant Hearts gameplay is largely composed of puzzles. The controls are the same all around, with certain characters having unique abilities. Some puzzles involve item gathering and swapping, while others become a bit more elaborate without becoming too difficult. They often develop the characters, with only a few coming off as filler. There's enough variety to keep the proceedings fresh, with a few tasks becoming a bit of a chore, while others are too complex for the end result. One moment you're assaulting a strategic point, and the next you're escaping a POW camp through stealth. Powered by the same engine that gave life to Rayman Origins, Legends, and Child of Light, we could only expect the best from the artist of Montpellier. The necessary amount of color and grudge depict the world brilliantly. The multiple layers and comic book strips are not only aesthetic implementations, but a gameplay accessory. Most of the in-game chatter is expressed through jibber-jabber, while the narrator does most of the telling. It's a perspective that gives insight between character shifts without being out of place. The soundtrack fits the era and immerses the player into the experience. An orchestral tone composed of wind instruments sets up the action-intense moments, as the string instruments tag the tense, heavy scenarios. Let's not forget to mention the enchanting piano pieces throughout the emotional segments. All in all, it's an exceptional soundtrack.
Thank you very much. I'm ready. Well, who are you listening?
Inspired by the letters of soldiers fighting along the western fronts, Valiant Hearts' inspiration is given the proper care. It may seem short and easy for the average and hardcore gamer, but in the end the experience is well worth the asking price. Valiant Hearts is educational for those not keen on history, and a delightful take on a subject that usually leans heavy on action. The characters are memorable, the art is beautiful, and the subject at hand is real. There is justice done for this horrific time in history, and developer Ubisoft Montpellier implements their style to create an experience that honors the Valiant Hearts of World War I.